2 minutes? We're gonna play a 2-minute song.
Yeah.
Which one?
Just the next one?
Homebrewers. Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second annual State of the City Address and Awards presentation. We are honored to have you here with us tonight as we celebrate the progress and service which have made our city an even better place to live and work during this past year. I am Philip Sessions, your MC tonight. I'm very excited to be here. Nathan invited me to be the MC, which I'm surprised about because I'm a public speaking coach, and I know he wants to talk a lot more than me, but we'll see if we compete tonight. I'm just kidding. I won't be speaking for too much longer here, but I'm excited to be here with you all. We have a full program ahead of us, so let's begin. It is my great honor to introduce the elected leaders of the City of Lawrence. Ladies and gentlemen, the City Council and Mayor of the City of Lawrence. At this time, please stand. Yeah, go ahead and stand back up. I know y'all just got seated. Let's go ahead and stand in honor of our nation and our state. And as the American Legion Post 25 posts the colors, and please remain standing for our national anthem. Post the colors. You may now be seated. As we begin tonight, we place special emphasis on service, collaboration, and good work being done across our community. While there is a continual effort to improve the city by our leaders and the team working within our city government, that work is made more effective by partnerships, community service, and volunteerism. Tonight, we begin with the presentation of this year's Quincy Cook Volunteer of the Year Award. Here to present this award is the Director of the City's Parks and Recreations Department, Jason Pridgen.
Good evening and welcome. I'm very honored to be the first presenter tonight, and it's just a wonderful time talking about the city of Lawrence and the state of the city. It's just, you know, when you've lived here, I've only been here 18 years, you kind of become a part of it, and that's what's special about our community. Lived all over the state, and what makes us special, in my opinion, is our people that we have. We're called the Parks and Recreation Department. We have great parks. They're awesome. We just, with our newest addition, the Ridge, in 2016. But the recreation aspect of it is what makes us truly a unified city. Tonight, I'm going to talk about a couple of our people, a couple of our volunteers, and we're going to give away our Quincy Cook Volunteer of the Year Award. Quincy Cook was a volunteer in our program for many years. He started off over with the Dixie Youth Baseball Program and then worked his way over to us, and he was a valued member and passed away at an early age a few years ago. And we're honored to be able to put this award in his name. First off, I'm gonna bring up our 2022 Volunteer of the Year, Jimmy Harris. Jimmy, will you come up? Now, I'm gonna tell you, Jimmy's probably a little nervous, but Jimmy is special. Jimmy is special to me. He's special to our department. He embodies what we look for in our volunteer coaches. He came to us a couple of years ago and said, hey, I want to get involved. He started coaching football, did a great job. Started coaching baseball, did a great job. We awarded him with his service as being some all-star coaches, did a great job. Does not coach basketball, but he said, hey, I don't know what I'm doing in basketball, but if you need me, I'm there. Y'all don't realize how important that is. Not only does he volunteer as a coach, he came to me and said, hey, what can I do to help? Well, let's find some more sponsors. 2 days later, he had brought me 2 sponsors of high value to our program. That's the type of person Jimmy is. He is the recreation part of our Parks and Recreation. It's not myself, it's not our staff. We are dependent on people like Jimmy. And I know we awarded him last year, but while he's up here, I want to give him one more round of applause for what he does. He also said he likes standing next to me because he looks skinny. But it's an honor now to recognize our 2022 Volunteer of the Year Award. So Jimmy was 21. We're a year behind. We give it in the first of the year. And I'm going to bring up that gentleman now. His name is Richard Heisey, our 2023 Volunteer of the Year. Richard, would you come up? I'm going to talk a little bit about Richard. He's not going to get embarrassed. He's been around us for a long time. If you didn't know, our Parks and Rec department was started in 2005. I moved here to take the job, and Richard was here. He was coaching his son, Justin, who now works for us in the city. And he was there in everything we needed. Hosting the tournament, he was there to do the book. Helping find sponsors, he was there to do what he needed to do. He's always been there. He was there with Justin. He was there with Callie. And now, thankfully, Micah came along, and we got him again. So I'm going to tell you, if you want any more, let me know, and we'd love to have you. But Richard is Richard is the epitome of what we want. Him and Jimmy and the award winners before them. It's just unbelievable the character they give, what they do for the city, but most of all, what they do for the kids. They mentor the kids, they teach the kids, they coach the kids, and they are part of their lives from day one to the end. And like I said about Jimmy, I mean this with Richard. Richard coaches basketball, he coaches baseball. He does not coach football, but he said, hey, if you need me, I'm there. And that's what it takes. It's the village that helps raise all of our kids and all of our young people. And it's so important, not only to the Parks and Recreation Department, but to the entire South Carolina for what we represent with our coaches. It's very important. So now I'm going to have the plaque, and I'm going to do the official award presentation. And our plaque says, the Quincy Cook Volunteer of the Year 2022, presented to Richard Heisey. Thank you for your dedication to volunteering and helping mold our future generations. February 7th, 2023. Thank you very much, Richard, for your dedication. If you want to say something, you're more than welcome to. But thank you so much. Let's give it up for our award winner.
I just want to thank you guys very much. I really don't need an award for volunteering. It's just something I would do, serve in a community, serve in a church, work with the kids, expose them to sports, teamwork, develop them as a person, somebody that'd be a valued member of our community, and also in some aspects introduce them to Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior as well. Just happy to have the time to work with these kids, to work with Justin, Callie back there, and Micah now, work alongside other great individuals like Jason and Andy and Jimmy as well. He's been great. My son actually played for him in football. That's one that I don't coach. So it's good to have these guys with us, and I thank you very much. And I don't feel like I deserve anything, because it's just volunteering is just something that everybody should do. So thank you, guys.
If you need me, I'm there. Gotta say, that sounds like the definition of a volunteer. But thank you, Mr. Pridgeon, Mr. Harris, and the 2022 Quincy Cook Volunteer of the Year Award recipient, Richard Heisey. While large manufacturing facilities employ thousands and well-paying jobs across the country, we know that small businesses are the heartbeat of our local economy. Without the quality of life our small businesses bring, it would be impossible to attract new industries to our area. Small businesses across our city not only improve our quality of life, so many local businesses have made it their mission to give back. They sponsor youth sports teams, they donate food to those in need, they allow their employees time off to participate in community cleanups, they contribute to their time, talents, and money to all sorts of efforts to improve our city. The Corporate Citizen Award is intended to recognize the efforts of individual businesses which have gone above and beyond to serve our community and work towards our common good. There are so many businesses who are deserving of recognition, and we look forward to doing just that. But tonight, we would like to recognize one very special business. 4 years ago, Main Street Lawrence performed a community market survey to identify the kinds of new businesses Lawrence wanted to see. The overwhelming majority of responses indicated that the community wanted two things. One, a steakhouse, and two, a tap room. City leaders heard that direction loud and clear and went to work, and soon Lawrence got its wish. Palmetto Brothers Dispensary is much more than a tap room on the square. Wes and Leanne have partnered with the City of Lawrence and Main Street Lawrence with their fellow merchants and restaurants to create a reason for Lawrence residents to stay in town on Friday nights. an element to our community life that had long been missing. Each week during the spring, summer, and fall, and nights like tonight, Wes and Leanne have worked to bring live music to entertain residents and visitors to our city. With trivia, music, bingo, painting classes, yoga lessons, and ongoing list of fun things that we all enjoy dearly. Lawrence residents can enjoy each other's company, build relationships, and be entertained right here in town. In addition to providing entertainment options several nights during the week, Palmetto Brothers Dispensary has partnered with the Lawrence Police Department to collect toys for our city's children at Christmas time, hosted Bible studies, and selflessly promoted other businesses and events so that the things they could do can benefit the life of our entire community. Last year, another beloved Lawrence institution, Roma, suffered a break-in that resulted in damages to their front entrance. Palmetto Brothers Dispensary immediately took action, hosting a pizza eating contest to raise money for Roma's repairs. Dispensary owners Wes Metz has referred to Lawrence businesses as a family, and he and his team have done everything they can to care for, contribute to, and support their family. Ladies and gentlemen, this year's Corporate Citizens Award goes to Palmetto Brothers Dispensary. Please join me in showing our appreciation to Palmetto Brothers owner Wes Metz.
Thank you, guys. I love Lawrence. I'm not originally from Lawrence. I'm a South Carolina native. I was born in Columbia, raised in Surfside Beach, and we moved to the upstate about '89 and went to Malden High School. But I fell in love with Lawrence about 8 years ago when I started representing volunteer guardian ad litems and DSS abuse and neglect cases. Those volunteers are the salt of the earth. And so my view of Lawrence was a little skewed. But I fell in love with those volunteers, and I fell in love with the city of Lawrence. And so I wanted to give the people I love something I love in return, and I love craft beer. So that's what I gave you guys, and I appreciate you welcoming me in as if I'd lived here my entire life. I love Lawrence, I love this city, and I look forward to seeing what we can do in the future. Thank you guys so much.
The Servant Leader Award is presented to an individual who truly embodies the value and qualities we wish to foster in the city of Lawrence. Tonight, I'm hearing that is love. The individual chosen for this award is not only a proven leader, but an individual who exercises that drive to improve our city without fanfare or recognition. Servant leaders work to tackle important issues in Lawrence heads-on. They are focused on the outcome rather than the process, and as they lead, they lift up others. Counselor Cassandra Campbell does nothing halfway and makes no excuses. She ran for City Council in Ward 3 in 2020 following the untimely death of her predecessor, Counselor Johnny Kelly, and carried enough support to her community to win her seat through a write-in campaign. Since taking office, she has used her position on City Council to benefit the members of her community and residents across the city. She has organized numerous community information meetings, participated in vaccination efforts during the COVID-19 pandemic, and working with the mayor and city staff, played a major role in planning and staging the first ever official celebration of Juneteenth in the city of Lawrence. And in 2022, when she had an opportunity to help prevent the spread of disease and infection across our city, she secured a donation of tens of thousands of bottles of hand sanitizer. In turn, these were freely distributed to children during back-to-school events, to nursing homes, and to those in need all across the city. Counselor Campbell is very intentional and kind. She is committed to the cause of racial equality and encouraging and appreciation of our city's diversity. Yet her passion for these causes is carried out in a way that brings us together. She's done all that she can to unify the people of our city and are exemplary. And it is easy to see why she was nominated for this recognition. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in showing honor and appreciation to this year's recipient of the Servant Leader Award, Councilwoman Cassandra Campbell.
No one deserves it.
Wow. I'm very surprised. I'm humbly grateful, but it is all to the glory of God. If you are a believer in the Lord God Almighty, the word says that your path it makes a way for you. And if you look in your past, you see how God has orchestrated things. And so that's what I'm standing on. And that's my story. Thank you so much.
The final award being presented this evening is the Community Spirit Award. The Community Spirit Award is designed to recognize those who have contributed to building unity, encouraging good citizenship, and promoting the general welfare of the city through the volunteer work or charitable activities. In a world where there are so many who seek to divide our community by exploiting our differences, and at a time when concepts like patriotism, civil service, and good citizenship may seem quaint and old-fashioned, the City of Lawrence has been proud to work with partners whose efforts make those old-fashioned values part of the fabric of our community. American Legion Post 25 is without a doubt one of the most active, helpful, and charitable organizations in Lawrence County. It would take all evening to fully catalog all the ways our veterans serve our community. When the police department needs help with traffic control for parades, they're there. When a cemetery needs cleaning up or a disabled senior needs a wheelchair ramp, they're there. When it's time to collect toys or food to provide for those in need, they're there again. When we need a color guard for the state of the city, they're here, and they did a great job tonight. When the city needs volunteers to help with the public event, they're usually the first call. Like any organization, the best intentions of the dedicated members of the American Legion are only as effective as its leaders equip and lead them to be. Fortunately, for our community, the American Legion has outstanding leadership. As Post Commander Jim Peterson does an exemplary job of prioritizing a commitment to service in the community while honoring those who have honorably served our country and sacrificed in defense of freedom, Commander Peterson's constant refrain is, "We want to be a force for good in the community." Thankfully for Jim, he's not alone. While there are so many Post members who contribute to their outstanding public service when it comes to making it all come together and getting things organized, we can always count on one very special Air Force veteran. Lynn Boyd serves the American Legion Post 25, and like the Post itself, it would take all night to list the ways she chips in and makes sure things come off without a hitch. Lynn serves as a primary point of contact for many of the programs in which the city partners with the Legion, and not only is she dependable and thorough, she's very kind as well. Simply put, it's service with a smile. This year, we would like to jointly award our Community Spirit Award to 2 individuals who truly embody the qualities which we hope characterize the spirit of our community. Please join me in showing our appreciation for the 2023 Community Spirit Award winners, American Legion Post Commander Jim Peterson and Lynn Boyd.
Oops, got a pose for it? Thank you so much. This was truly unexpected. We came to present the colors, didn't expect the presentation to us. Regrettably, Lynn Boyd is in Texas, attending to her brother who is in some critical stages of some chemotherapy, and she would love to have been here tonight, but we'll definitely pass this on to her. But thank you so much, and as you so kindly said, when we started this, the whole effort was to be a force for good in the community, and we're going to keep on trying to do that. So thank you so much. Appreciate it.
I would now like to welcome back to the stage this year's Servant Leader Award recipient, Council Cassandra Campbell. Ladies and gentlemen, Councilor Campbell.
Good evening again. Tonight we will review the past year's highlights and look at how the city is planning for the future. I am very proud of this council. There is a clear vision and strong leadership. Working together, which we do well, our goal is to make our city a prosperous place to learn, grow, live, work, play, and explore the arts. That includes considering all views on challenging issues to produce thoughtful, effective, quality discourse and decision-making. We are also blessed to have a hardworking and professional city staff. They keep our community safe and the city running, but often, frankly, they do not get the spotlight. So let's shine some spotlight on them right here, right now. Please join me in appreciation of their service. Now, without further ado, I present a leader with whom I've worked with for over 2 years. He is a superb problem solver, a dedicated public servant, and someone I am honored to call my colleague, Mayor Nathan Senn.
Thank you, Councilor Campbell, for that very kind introduction. Members of our legislative delegation, Mr. Chairman, and members of County Council joining us, representatives from our neighboring cities and communities in Lawrence County as a whole, members of Lawrence City Council, my partners in progress. friends and colleagues and family, residents of this great city. Thank you for joining us tonight for this very special event. We are grateful for your presence. We're gathered here this evening to review the progress of our city, to consider unfinished business, and to set our eyes on the future. It is my great pleasure to report to you tonight that the state of our city is stronger than it was a year ago, better than it was 4 years ago, and growing better each day. We're a community which is united in purpose. The preservation and improvement of our small town quality of life drives us. Though our approaches towards this goal, as departments within city government, as elected leaders, as a diverse community of citizens, may naturally differ, we're committed to our shared purpose with devoted hearts, fervent spirits, and a renewed sense of pride and optimism for our city's future. Tonight, we gather in a city which is now setting the standard for responsible growth. As evidence of this, I'm pleased to share with you tonight that I have been asked to deliver a keynote presentation to mayors from across the state of South Carolina who've been invited to take part in the Riley Mayor's Design Institute, an initiative which studies how to use smart planning and design to bring vitality and economic growth to South Carolina's communities. Additionally, at the end of March, Main Street Director Jonathan Irick and I have been invited to jointly deliver a keynote presentation at the National Conference of Main Street USA in Boston. Thousands of municipalities will be represented at this conference, and Laurens will take center stage as an example of cooperative community partnership. You can be proud that Laurens is literally showing cities across our state and our nation how to grow and grow well. It wasn't that long ago that we could look across our city and see the ravages of decades of economic distress, depopulation, and division. We need to understand where we've come from before we can appreciate how far we've come. In the 1990s, we were faced with the catastrophic consequences of closed mills, the departure of families, the loss of jobs, and the closure of treasured family businesses. In the years that followed, many children of Laurens felt, and some were explicitly told, that they had to leave their hometown if they hoped for a better future. For those left in Laurens, a pervasive sense of negativity set in. Our city's government wasn't immune from the difficulties that plagued our community. Previous administrations were forced to make drastic cuts just to maintain the basic functions of city government. The city was forced to borrow money from the Commissioner of Public Works to make payroll. Our technology and systems for city services fell behind those of private industry. Widespread economic distress prevented citizens from making necessary improvements to their properties. Code enforcement fell by the wayside, and the appearance of our town reflected our economic hardships. Wisely, City Council didn't raise property taxes, but a shrinking population and decreasing property values meant that we were forced to stretch dollars farther and farther. Strategic investments in things like economic development seemed an impossibility. We looked out on locked gates, derelict houses, and vacant storefronts. What brought our city back? The people of this town. we decided that we must believe in our future and do what was necessary to make Lawrence competitive again. With faith in God's providence and a commitment to being good stewards of our city's future, in 2019 we changed course. We began to take unprecedented measures to attract new growth, working together with our partners at the Commission of Public Works, Lawrence County Development Corporation, Lawrence County Chamber of Commerce, Main Street Lawrence, our county leaders, and so many more. We announced to the world that Lawrence is open for business. Tonight, I want to give recognition to you, the people of this great city, and those in our community who have supported our growth and resurgence. You deserve our thanks. I thank you now. In just the past year, we've made considerable progress. Your property is worth more now than it was last year. The assessed value of properties located within the city limits, which is a fraction of the actual market value, is up by $2,862,820 this year. For most Americans, their greatest asset isn't what's in their bank account. It's not their car. It's not even their retirement account. Their greatest asset is their home. Today, largely due to the policies of this administration and the cooperation of City Council to implement those things, every property owner in this city has an asset which is worth more today than it was just a year ago. More business is being done in the city of Lawrence. 126 business licenses were issued. More business licenses were issued this year than were last. That's an increase year over year of 15%. New businesses located all across the city. They range from small minority-owned businesses like Find Yourself Boutique to international manufacturing operations like Europastry. We're also attracting new national franchises like Domino's and Starbucks, which is currently under construction. And these nationally known franchises are more important to our community than just the products they sell. They demonstrate that we offer a viable market for the restaurants and retail outlets for which so many residents have expressed a desire. What's old is new again, and the crowning glories of our redevelopment are homegrown success stories. Millions have been spent renovating historic buildings. I'd like to share with you just a couple highlights. It is no coincidence that we are gathered for this event in this beautiful building tonight. Just 1 year ago, this was impossible. Thanks to the public-spirited commitment to the future of our city, Gary and April Bailey invested more than $2 million in this historic building. Gary and April, thank you for your belief in Lawrence. If you would, please stand and accept our gratitude for your belief in Lawrence. With the cooperation of our administration and Lawrence City Council, the full benefit of state and federal tax incentives have been realized, including historic preservation tax benefits, which means that we have buildings restored in our city which maintain the historic fabric with which they were built. And their experience has been an effective tool for us to show others what can be achieved here. Now, for the first time since the 1970s, the lights from the upper floors of this beautiful building help light the skyline of our city. For more than 2 decades, Lawrence residents demanded a place to get a good steak. And when I was elected, I made a commitment to deliver one. With a demonstrated history of success through their award-winning renovation of the Midtown building, the Holmes family doubled down on their commitment to Lawrence and saved a building that was literally a few months away from at least partial collapse and ruin beyond repair. Our promise made in 2019 was kept. Through the hard work and talents of Caleb and Jessica Satterfield and their amazing team, Lauren's own steakhouse, Rudimentary, is open for business and thriving. Residents across Lawrence County and beyond have another special place they can go for everything from a weekday business lunch to a very special anniversary meal. In the days when Lawrence was struggling, there were entrepreneurs and small business owners who were committed to the future of this city, who determined to help us achieve our potential. Michelle Compton was one such true believer. She renovated a historic bank building on the east side of the square and named this new salon appropriately Vault. She was an early and enthusiastic supporter of our efforts to revitalize the city. Like the Holmes family, she too saw our recent progress and decided to double down on her commitment to the city by renovating 103 Lawrence Street, another building which had lain vacant for years. As a result of her significant investment in the building's repair and renovation, this creatively repurposed space is now alive again. It's my honor as mayor to take part in ribbon cuttings. But one business has kept me particularly busy in that regard. Southern Twist is a boutique shop owned by Christy Finley, and she was my second ribbon cutting, as I recall, back in 2019. Within a year, she ran out of space at her first location, and she moved to a larger space, and we had another ribbon cutting. And then she saw the demand for men's goods, so she decided to expand to a new location, the old John Graham building, to open Southern Trade. So, you guessed it, we had another ribbon cutting. And then when the longtime owner of City Trends decided to retire, and that large retail space on the west side of the square became available, of course, Christy jumped at the chance. With a significant investment by the Todd family to renovate this building, Christy has a spacious new home for Southern Twist and Trade. And of course, I was there to help her celebrate another ribbon cutting. Perhaps just as exciting as the fact that she has made this progress in her business is the fact that all 3 of her former locations aren't sitting empty. Instead, they're home to new retail and entertainment options. Perfectly Imperfect Vintage and Decor, Sarah Beth Boutique, and Roseland Lounge. And by the way, true to form, Christy hadn't finished. She just announced the opening of a satellite location of her store inside the spa at 920 on West Main, and we hope that that is a match made in heaven. At last year's State of the City address, I was introduced by my friend, Dr. Matthew P. Vandenberg, or as I call him, Matt. We celebrated the expansion of Presbyterian College outside its original campus area to a new satellite location in the city of Lawrence for the first time in 141 years. A tangible sign of our joint efforts to bring unity across our county. During the past year, this building has been painstakingly renovated, to serve as a state-of-the-art venue for esports, a cafe, a cinema, and it will also serve as the City of Lawrence' new municipal performing arts venue. Significant investment has been made to bring this historic space back to life, and soon, at no cost to city residents, for the first time in nearly 100 years, we will have a performing arts space again and be able to enjoy the benefits of this space. Tonight, I am pleased to announce that we will gather, mark your calendars, on March 2nd for a ribbon cutting at the Capitol Theater. We are joined tonight by President Vandenberg. He has been a great friend to this city, and the connections fostered between Presbyterian College and Lawrence will benefit both the college and our city in ways we cannot imagine. President Vandenberg, will you please stand and accept our sincere gratitude for all the good you have done? Of course, there are so many other new businesses which have opened all across our city, buildings and homes which have been renovated, beloved businesses and restaurants which are contributing to the success of this city. Let's please take a moment to celebrate and recognize not just the businesses that we've mentioned here tonight, but the beating heart of our city's economy, all those businesses large and small, which employ our families, support our community, and keep our city strong. Please join me in saying thank you. As a result of our city's strong economic growth, this administration's sound management of the balanced budget approved by City Council, it is my pleasure to report that our city's finances are strong and as strong as they have been in years. This year, overall revenue coming into the city is up 10% this year. Building permit revenue is up 23%. Hospitality revenue for the current fiscal year is on track to exceed $800,000. That's nearly $250,000 more coming into our city from tourism-related events and capital, and for improving on capital investments than just 4 years ago. It is without exaggeration that we can say we have accomplished in 1 year what previous administrations did not in 4. Let's be clear about what this means. The City of Lawrence has not raised property taxes during my term, and tonight I'm committing that my administration will not seek and I will not support any future increase in property taxes. I make this pledge because I believe there's a better way. In fact, we've proven that there's a better way. Because of our strategic investment of hospitality funds, federal funding, capital improvement from Lawrence County, and public-private partnerships, the City of Lawrence is more vibrant and thriving than it was a year ago, and certainly more than 4 years ago. As a result, we have more revenue coming into the city for strategic pro-growth investments with no tax increase to residents. Under my administration, we will continue to do all that we can to ensure that our city keeps moving in the right direction. Some of these strategic investments have taken shape in a very visible way in the past year. We're proud of the capital improvements that are easily observed by residents and visitors. And much attention has been paid to our new pedestrian plaza. This project will improve accessibility for those with mobility challenges. improve functionality at public events. It will support local restaurants and small businesses through this shared dining and gathering space. I'm not sure who called it a green space, but nobody ever called it a green space. It's a shared public dining and gathering area. But through this and other improvements, we draw new visitors. We attract customers to our businesses. We bring revenue to the city, and we maintain a competitive edge in attracting new employers to Lawrence. This type of investment is not unique to Lawrence, but we see it in other cities at much greater cost. The city of Greer recently spent $26.5 million on similar projects in their downtown. But they did this as part of their overall economic development strategy. Malden, which has no downtown, is building one from scratch. However, thanks to the cooperation of City Council, we've been able to implement elements of the 2017 Downtown Master Plan at no cost to the taxpayer. The entire project This entire project was fully paid for through federal funding. Lawrence residents haven't paid one nickel. And yes, we will be adding new parking where we couldn't have parking before. While this downtown streetscaping may be one of the most visible projects, it's actually one of the least expensive. The City of Lawrence has made the most significant investment in capital improvements in a generation, all of which have a positive impact either directly or indirectly on the quality of service and the quality of life of every household across this city. The largest investment is $2.2 million worth of renovation and addition to our old police department. The building was riddled with aging patch job repairs and costly mechanical systems. The city's ineffective make-do use of existing space rendered our court unable to hold the basic functions of court. We were prevented from even holding our own jury trials, and this led to a backlog of cases. There was no proper separation between police space and judicial space. And the police were split between two different buildings, leading to issues with both morale and inefficiency. This summer, for the first time in years, the police department will be back under one roof. And our court will be able to do the things that courts do. This facility improvement, a can which had been repeatedly kicked down the road, has also been fully paid for by federal funds without one penny of local taxes. The capital improvements don't stop there. The police department has been able to purchase new body cams which automatically turn on and back up to the cloud, body armor, investigative tools, and turnout gear. Our police will struggle to make our streets safer if they don't have the right tools to do the job. With the right tools, we're able to solve crimes more quickly, protect our officers, and help us identify training issues and misconduct. We're working hard to be the best that we can possibly be. The upgrades to our fire department are some of our greatest improvements. Our fire department boasts an ISO 1 rating. That is the highest rating that can be awarded to any fire department, and the City of Lawrence is the smallest department in the state of South Carolina to hold that rating. In addition to the fact that it makes us safer, it also helps save on insurance rates. But to maintain that rating, we have to have proper equipment. Until now, our city's only ladder truck was nearly 30 years old, and it was showing its age. Due to the incredible work of our newly appointed chief, Neil Roberts, we were able to replace that aging workhorse with a former U.S. Air Force 100-foot ladder truck in nearly mint condition. That truck would have cost more than $700,000 new. It was valued at more than $500,000 when we purchased it. The city bought it for $12 grand. In addition to the specialized technology upgrades that we've made in the police department, the entire city staff has seen upgrades in the computing devices and software they use to serve the public. The city has long suffered from inefficient, outdated technology. Unfortunately, when it comes to IT, failure to update systems doesn't mean we just work more slowly. It also puts us at risk for ransomware attacks, server hacks, and critical data loss. Tonight, I'm pleased to report that our city's technology resources have been brought up to date. Our systems are more efficient, our data is more secure, and we've avoided the costly consequences of responding to catastrophic emergencies. And once again, all of these capital improvements have been made through strategic use of one-time federal funding. This sound budgeting, cooperative leadership, and strategic investment got these things done, and Lawrence taxpayers haven't paid one penny. While we're on the subject of IT, I would want to pay a special thanks to Colby Rice for having our IT director for working to bring the city into the second decade of the 21st century. Our strategic approach to budgeting and spending also extends to the way we use our general funds. This administration has placed the highest value on people, on our staff, on attracting well-qualified professional staff. So when police and fire departments faced tough recruiting challenges, we put our values into action. By properly allocating funds within departmental budgets this year, we've raised salaries in both the police and the fire departments, finally making the city's pay rates competitive with those of neighboring departments. We've raised the police department pay by nearly 17%. And in the fire department, which had already seen some significant pay increases, we raised pay another 10%. This has had a tremendous impact on recruitment of high-quality applicants and retention of our best and brightest current employees. Tonight, I am pleased to announce that the Lawrence Police Department and Lawrence Fire Department are now both fully staffed for the first time in 7 years. As most of you know, one of the positions which had to be filled at the police department was that of the chief, due to the president's nomination of our former chief, Quincy Lattimore, as South Carolina's U.S. Marshal. Tonight, it is my pleasure to share with you that the United States Senate has confirmed Marshal Lattimore to her new position, and we wish her all success in that role. Our new chief, Keith Groundsel, and I share a common commitment. We will strive to make the city of Lawrence the safest city in the state of South Carolina. To that end, we both believe that the best way to achieve this is through a balanced approach of strong enforcement and building strong relationships within the neighborhoods we serve. When it comes to enforcement, we're tackling our challenges head on. We're getting the most violent offenders off the streets and drug dealers off the streets. That's our highest priority. This year, Lawrence Police Department formed a new SWAT team to assist with high-risk search warrants and high-risk arrests. And they've already taken drugs off the streets. Please join me in thanking Lawrence Police Department and their SWAT team for the tremendous bust they made 2 weeks ago. We understand that while issues of violent crime and drugs are a plague on our community, basic traffic control is the police function which most directly impacts the lives of our citizens. Speeding puts lives at risk, causes children to feel insecure about letting their children play in the neighborhood, and endangers walkers and joggers. So this year, we formed a full-time traffic unit to address speeding and moving violations. We've coupled this with targeted measures to identify when and where people are violating the law, and we're letting the public know, as I am tonight, that we're taking this seriously. If you drive like a bat out of Hades in the city of Lawrence, expect consequences. As part of this effort, all of our officers are participating in the Sober or Slammer campaign and Operation Southern Slowdown, which is South Carolina's statewide enforcement effort against driving under the influence, speeding, excessive, aggressive driving, and reckless or careless behavior. This year, we also became the first law enforcement agency in the county to get a canine trained in firearms protection for schools. But while effective enforcement is key, our police can't be everywhere all the time. Our true goal is to do all we can to prevent it. So we're working in our communities. We've established a monthly Coffee with a Cop program, which provides an opportunity for business owners and neighbors to let us know their concerns, to allow them to get to know our officers. And it helps us build relationships that keep the city safe. We're helping those in need. Working together with the American Legion and generous businesses and individuals all across the city, we provided Christmas gifts for 125 children this Christmas. Our officers have handed out more than 20 boxes of food, and we have dozens more ready to deliver. Each of our patrol cars is loaded with a box of food. And when we encounter someone in need, we give them food. We try to meet their immediate needs, but we also try to connect them with the community resources that may be the help they need. All this has been done at no cost to the city through the donations that are made to our Greg's Groceries program. As most of you know, some of our police officers' most difficult challenges come when they encounter individuals suffering from mental health issues. I'm proud to tell you that we're equipping our officers with targeted training to help those in need. As part of that effort, all of our officers recently attended an 8-hour mental health crisis intervention training program, and we're planning to continue that program on an annual basis. I also want to thank Counselor Campbell for her work in working with the police to facilitate that training. It was my pleasure to take part in the inaugural Walk a Mile in Their Shoes, an event which was jointly hosted by our police department and our Victims Advocate and a number of other community organizations. This event brought together victims of domestic violence, their families, law enforcement, and community members to bring awareness to the issue of domestic violence. Perhaps most importantly, beyond the awareness raised, It showed those who have experienced domestic violence that they're not alone, that the leadership of the city cares about them, and that we're committed to doing all that we can to make domestic violence a thing of the past. In addition to our new firearm sniffing canine, we're doing our part to respond to the threat of violence in our schools. Officers have engaged in 2 full days of active shooter response training, which was conducted in partnership with Orange District 55. Our nation has seen too many tragedies of this type. As mayor, I can tell you that I have prayed many times. That is a call I will never get. I'm proud that we're taking our responsibility to protect our children seriously, and while I pray that call never comes, I'm confident in the training of our officers to do their best to keep our children safe should they ever be called upon. Chief Groundsel, please stand and accept our thanks for the work that you have done just since July, the work of all your team members, and on behalf of the city, we really say thank you. Like the police department, our firefighters have experienced a year of transformative change and improvement. After many years of service, we said a grateful farewell to Chief Bill Hughes. And though he's no longer with the city fire department, he has forever left his mark on the department. So it was with pleasure that when we celebrated his retirement, we shared with him our plans to rename the Mill Street station Hughes Station. Now his name will be forever etched into the history of our fire department. As a history fan, history buff himself, I'm sure he appreciates that. I encourage all of you to drive by Mill Street, say hello and thank you to our firefighters, and take a note of the handsome new sign on the station. It's my duty to appoint a new chief when that position opens, and so we have already seen that Neil Roberts was worthy of the confidence I placed in him. In addition to saving taxpayers nearly $500,000 on a new truck, he's worked to boost morale within the department, improve pay, fill vacancies, and update equipment. We don't want the first time that a resident of the city of Laurens encounters a firefighter in the city of Laurens to be on the worst night of their lives. Chief Roberts and I share a belief that our firefighters should be seen in our community, and where practical, participate in the life of the community so that we can show the next generation what it means to be a firefighter. And many of you have probably noticed our firefighters just doing that very thing. In addition to the long-term benefits toward recruitment, we've already seen the effect that this has had on morale. We've also launched a partnership with Orange District 55 to offer a high school firefighter program. We've assisted with teaching, donated used equipment, and allowed their students to use the city's burn center. Through this training center, that is, through this program, we establish a pipeline for young people from high school into an honorable career where they can earn a good living, serve their community, and save lives. For our part, we eliminate barriers for recruitment of new firefighters. And we overcome a challenge to fire departments all across the nation. We're improving the way our fire department works with other departments across the city. That means that we have a new fire marshal who works Monday through Friday with our planning and development department to conduct home inspections and commercial fire inspections. We're working together with the county through automatic aid agreements to ensure that the Lawrence community, whether they are inside the city limits or out, are well served by fire protection, by well-qualified, trained firefighters. And we're exploring ways to expand that collaboration. Chief Roberts has shown tremendous leadership since his appointment, and I would ask him to stand, and I ask you all to thank him and the rest of his team for the terrific job our fire department is doing. Without a doubt, the greatest portion of our city's annual budget is spent on emergency services. But we've seen significant improvements in every department across the city. And our residents should be proud of the progress we have seen in just 1 year. In our IT department, we've already spoken about some of the capital improvements to technology, which was purchased with federal funding. But we're working on another project that I would like to share with you tonight. As part of our continuing effort to pursue the most efficient, cost-effective means of providing city services, we recognize that we can make a limited investment in technology which can save hundreds of man-hours of work each year in staff time by providing commonly used city services through technology. By improving our method of delivering these services, we save the city money by making our existing staff more effective. So, we're working on an app. We've already developed a working prototype for the police department, which will help keep citizens informed and assist with reporting crimes and other issues involving law enforcement. Our next goal is to continue developing a similar app for city government services as a whole. Need a building permit? Fill out the paperwork, submit it through the app. Want to know what's on the agenda for the next city council meeting? Look on the app. Are you visiting town and you want to take a walking tour of our historic districts? Look on the app. You need to report a pothole on your street or request a replacement garbage can from Streets and Sanitation? Look on the app. You want to look up a city ordinance? Look on the app. We know that not everybody has smartphones, and we will still provide all of these services in person with a smile. But we must recognize that we can save money and maintain a competitive edge by keeping up with the kinds of technology that other communities are already using and which residents, both current and new, have come to expect in every other facet of their lives. The work has already begun, and if we keep on track, we'll bring our city into the current decade here real soon. As a result of our ongoing work to build a better, cleaner, safer city, the Planning and Development Department reports that this year alone, we've issued more than 930 permits with a total work valuation of more than $17 million. As a result, building permit revenue is up 23%. While we're on the subject of building, I want to take a moment to put something in perspective. There's been much discussion about growth in the city of Lawrence and Lawrence County as a whole, and rightly so. A free and open society with representative government should listen to the priorities of its residents and the concerns of its residents, and we've made this a priority. But too often, it seems that this can be a conversation which is guided by misinformation and fear rather than facts. So let's consider a fact. In the past year, 14 new homes have been built in our city. 14. That's excellent news. That's excellent news. 4 years ago, I promised to work to bring more housing to our city, and that promise has been kept. And as most of you know, more homes have been proposed, and that's a good thing. Housing remains our most significant need. More rooftops means more residents to replace those that we have lost over the past 40 years, and it will allow us to regain the population we once had. But though new homes have been built and more are proposed, let's not get carried away by the fiction that we're experiencing some unstoppable, unmanageable, monstrous growth that poses an existential threat to the character of our community. For that matter, we mustn't assume that the roots of our newfound growth are so deeply rooted so quickly that that growth is unstoppable. We need only look to our neighboring communities to see that while Lawrence has grown in population, others have continued to lose population. Healthy growth is not inevitable, and it is not guaranteed. It has come because of tireless efforts to create a responsible growth that resists development that overruns communities, but which fosters responsible growth. It takes vision, it takes experience, and it takes discernment to know the difference. We are growing, but we're not growing out of control. In fact, we're just beginning to see the new buds of growth. Now is not the time to abandon the progress we've made, and we must stay the course to make sure we reach our potential. Vacant and abandoned buildings and slum rental properties are challenges which the City of Lawrence did not, and in some instances could not, effectively tackle for years. But this year, working together with City Council, we passed new ordinances which went into effect in January to address both of these problems. By requiring a free registration of vacant buildings, the city can now know what buildings are vacant and work with owners to identify new occupants of those buildings, to assist them in finding resources to help bring them up to code conditions if necessary, and if they're too far gone, to work with them to get them demolished. The necessity of doing this is because these vacant buildings pose a threat to public safety. But working with owners will remove blight from our neighborhoods and eliminate safe havens for drug use, drug dealing, and other crime. So far, we've already had more than 17 vacant buildings registered. When it comes to rental properties, some landlords have used loopholes to avoid occupancy inspections between tenants. As a result, the city had no mechanism of denying occupancy for slums, homes which were unsafe for basic human habitation. Thanks to the ordinances we passed this year, we can now ensure that homes meet at least the basic livability requirements of state law. We've sent a message that landlords who care about their tenants are very welcome in Lawrence, but Lawrence is no place for slumlords. While responsible, ethical landlords supported and have been grateful for the passage of these new ordinances, unsurprisingly, there are some slum owners who know that the days of exploiting their tenants are numbered. To date, we've registered more than 300 rental properties. I am proud of the work that we have done on City Council to address this problem, and my administration will not bow to the pressure of slumlords, illegal business owners, or personal connections to look the other way when it comes to enforcing the law. Safe neighborhoods and good housing are top priorities, but we understand that the importance of public parks and opportunities for recreation to maintaining quality of life. This year, in our Parks and Recreation Department, we've made some impressive improvements. For the first time in 10 years, we've been able to field a ladies softball team. Let's make sure this win for women's sports is a permanent part of our recreation program. As a result of our efforts to use technology to modernize city operations, families can now register for youth sports online. We've seen a direct correlation between that and increased participation. Baseball's up 5%, football's up 14%, cheerleading's up 50%, basketball's up 60%. Increased participation in these activities doesn't just mean that kids get to enjoy themselves. It means they have opportunities to get off the streets and be mentored, where they are taught important lessons about sportsmanship. And thanks to folks like Mr. Heisey, I think you've seen the value that brings to our community. For that reason, I would ask all those coaches and leaders involved in our recreation programs to stand and please join me in giving them thanks. This past fall, we opened our splash pad, and this spring we will see its first full season of use. Tonight, I am pleased to announce that when our friends at the Dominic Motors dealership relocate to their new building, we have a vendor who is interested in relocating to the current Dominic building, and this vendor will serve concessions like cold drinks and frozen treats to visitors enjoying the splash pad. And the rent for occupying this space is that the vendor will maintain the facility, like our new bathroom facility there, and pay the cost of the water on the splash pad. Through this public-private partnership, the city gains a new business, avoids hiring staff to provide concessions to maintain the facility, and the ongoing operations of the splash pad is performed at little to no cost to the city. Speaking of Dominic Motors, I'd like to take this opportunity to publicly thank Jamie Dominic and his family for their cooperation in making this fun new facility for our kids a reality. Our recreation efforts are not solely focused on youth, though. This year, with the dedicated leadership of Director Pat McDonald and the enthusiasm and talent of community members, some of whom are gathered here with us tonight, the City of Lawrence now boasts its first community choir, Sing Together. This intergenerational, racially diverse, non-denominational group of vocalists, which falls underneath the Parks and Recreation Department, performed at our Christmas tree lighting, our Christmas market, and we're happy to announce that they will continue to provide musical accompaniment to some of our most favorite public events. We have a pickleball league for our seniors. And as we know that the baby boomer generation continues to reach the age of retirement, we must meet the recreation needs of our senior residents as well. We believe that a community that plays together and sings together and enjoys nature together will be stronger and healthier. And this year we've made great strides toward that goal. Please join me once again also in thanking Jason Pridgeon, our Parks and Recreation Director. Our Streets and Sanitation Department does much, asks little, and they work during hours and in conditions that many of us would find difficult, at best. And yet, despite their hard work, our city has struggled to find a path for replacing their outdated, unfit facility. Adding to our sanitation woes, for years the city has been stuck in a contract for residential waste services, which was impractical and costly and led to innumerable service quality issues. With the term of that long-term contract ending this month, we knew that we had to take action if we were ever going to fix these issues. Thankfully, after a tremendous amount of work, we have found a solution which is good for our residents, our staff, and the future of the city. We're improving service, we're keeping rates the same low rate that residents are already paying now, and we've avoided kicking the can again down the road by finally providing our streets and sanitation facility with a new home that is fit for use and worthy of our city. As an additional benefit, we'll try to put a dent in the issue of illegal dumping by making it easier for people to dispose of their waste legally, rather than making it harder and making illegally dumping more convenient. Working together with City Council, we've stiffened penalties for our litter ordinance. We've partnered with the county and our neighboring municipalities to support a Keep Lawrence County Beautiful affiliate of the Keep America Beautiful organization. You can soon expect through this organization to see public art projects on a few of our storm drains across the city, reminding residents to keep our stormwater litter free. These are common sense solutions, but our city will be healthier and cleaner because of the decisions we have made this year. I want to take this moment to offer my sincere thanks to our city administrator, Eric Delgado, for the tremendous amount of work that he did in putting together a plan to get the city back into the trash business after more than a decade, and to do that in about 3 weeks. His absolutely tireless work to make sure that the numbers worked, that the funding worked, that the legal mechanisms to go about that came about in just the right way, at just the right time, ensured that City of Lawrence residents can expect that their trash service won't skip a beat. Please join me in thanking Mr. Delgado. We also need to thank our Streets and Sanitation Director, Kerwin Tribble, and all of the guys that work on that staff to find a remedy for these problems. We faced an incredible task in solving these issues, which caused us trouble for more than a decade, but we finally come together to make it work. We've worked together to do so much, but there's unfinished work ahead. The plan for our city's future can benefit from insight and vision of its leaders, but the fundamental nature of the plan must reflect the values and priorities of our community. To that end, we've begun the process of our comprehensive plan review by issuing surveys and holding public input sessions. We must complete this plan and make sure that our future needs for transportation and land use, redevelopment, historic preservation, utility services, educational facilities, and recreational facilities are all given thoughtful consideration. We've already shown our commitment to a community-led planning process, and we look forward to finishing the job. As I mentioned, with funding from the county specifically for the purpose of the splash pad, we built that amenity for our kids, maybe a few big kids. Its location was inspired by the 2017 Downtown Master Plan that was developed 2 years before I came into the office. Those plans were adopted by City Council, but they sat on the shelf. We've moved forward with aspects of that plan, but it's time to move forward and complete the job. This isn't simply a matter of having a prettier city center. It's so much more than that. These public spaces, that downtown master plan, doesn't mean we care about that space more than any other part of the city. It is an economic development tool. It is the most important resource that we have available to us. When we want to bring new jobs into this community, we have to have a space which shows the potential and growth and beauty of this community. It's time to put that plan into action. Just because we have great plans doesn't mean that our city has to foot the bill by itself. We've written grant requests for more than $30 million to completely overhaul and build more than 19 miles of new sidewalks all across the city. There are roads that need to be paved. There are improvements to our park. There's improvements to public housing. There are all sorts of other capital needs for which we can seek state and federal funding. If we don't request these funds, they will simply be spent elsewhere. I believe that the City of Lawrence taxpayers who pay into the debt, into the revenue, should be entitled to get their fair share back. We've begun new traditions like the Piedmont Blues and Roots Music Festival, Juneteenth, Lawrence Lights the Night, and Lawrence natives are coming back home. They're bringing visitors to our city, recreation to our residents, and commerce to our businesses. These events have all had strong starts, but we need to maintain the efforts to keep these things growing and alive and generating vitality and commerce for our city. Thanks to the feasibility study that we conducted this year, we confirmed the plain fact of the matter that we need a hotel. And we need a hotel to provide space for industries who are already located here. We need a hotel to provide accommodation for visitors to our city. We have an excellent facility to make that happen. Thankfully, we also have an excellent proposal before us, which would allow the city to have such a facility, a hotel, with no taxpayer funding. I will soon be presenting that plan to City Council, and tonight I ask for their help in moving forward so that we can make that plan a reality. With these down payments for the future, I'd like to announce several exciting new initiatives which we plan to pursue in the coming year. We began tonight's discussion with the challenges posed in our city in the aftermath of the closure of our textile mills. Since the late 1990s, Watts Mill and Lawrence Mill sites have been abandoned, partially demolished, and have lain dormant, a painful thorn in the side of our city. Bringing new life to these sites has been a priority of this administration from day one. After years of hard work, as long as our city maintains its current leadership and stays on the path towards progress, we will soon see revitalization of both of those historic mill sites. For Watts Mill, the cleanup and redevelopment of this site has the ability to become a reality in the very near future. In the coming weeks, we will present the property owner's request to the Planning Commission and City Council to bring this site into the city limits. By making this a part of the city, we can make sure that whatever happens on that site is in the best interest of the city. Not only will this request for annexation be brought forward soon, we're also working with the owner now to finalize plans for the overall future of the site, which will address some of our city's greatest needs and bring significant improvements to the entire area of Wattsville, both inside and outside the city limits. I ask for the help of City Council and our Planning Commission to approve those plans when they are brought forward with haste. Likewise, Lawrence Mill has a bright future ahead also. We've been working with the current property owner to bring private investment to bring this mill site back to life. And the pace of that process has been picking up. However, it's been expressed to me on numerous occasions that the reasons those with the means to restore these sites are in our city is because of their confidence in the leadership of this city and the progress they have observed over the course of the past 4 years. As long as we stay the course and build on the reputation we have worked very hard to establish, great things lie ahead. With that said, Let me also reassure folks who have some fear that this new investment may cause them to lose their homes or displace their communities. While we desire to improve neighborhoods all across the city, we will ensure and take care to ensure that families are secure and the community bonds which took generations to build are not broken in the name of progress. The city's industrial park, Hunter Industrial Park, is home to some of our community's largest industries and offers a great location for employers. This year, within months of announcement of its closure, Muffin Man's closure, Europastry announced it was coming to Lawrence and bringing $23 million of investment and 155 new jobs. That's more than were ever employed at Muffin Man. The message that Lawrence is open for business is spreading, and we're seeing more interest from new industries, more interest than ever. But being in high demand brings its own challenges. Not only do we need more workforce housing, Hunter Industrial Park itself is running out of room. Tonight, I'm announcing that I have approached Lawrence County leadership and I have asked for their cooperation in establishing a new industrial park within the city limits of the city of Lawrence. While details must be worked out, I believe that in order for us to remain competitive in attracting jobs to our area, we have to be able to take advantage of the economic development tools that the legislature has given us. I thank County Council for their cooperation, and I look forward to the further discussions with you about making this a reality. While bringing well-paying, good jobs to our city is a necessity, this is not a silver bullet solution for all of our challenges. Across our nation, drug addiction, mental illness, and the effects of inflation on the cost of living have led to growing numbers of those who find themselves without a home. In the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 25, Jesus tells a parable challenging his followers' preconceived notions about what is expected of them. In the words of that parable that have been repeated through the millennia, they challenge us today. Truly, I say to you, as you have done unto one of the least of these, my brothers and sisters, you did it to me. So when we see those on our streets who are suffering from the grips of addiction and illness and poverty, what must we do? As a city government, we have a mission which is defined by law, and that mission is limited. We are not a mental health agency. We are not an addiction treatment facility. And yet, how can we turn a blind eye to those among us who are suffering? Tonight, I am calling for a new and unprecedented partnership among the municipalities of our county government, and nonprofit organizations, including faith-based organizations, all across this county, to come together to develop a plan for a new shared facility to provide shelter for those who are homeless and food distribution for those who are hungry. In a way, we're already doing this. In the absence of appropriate shelter and care, many individuals without homes find themselves in the county's detention center when they are arrested for petty crimes, and some not so petty crimes. We're already feeding and housing them in our detention center at great cost to the residents of this county. And because they're not getting the treatment they need for problems that they face, this is the least effective and most costly way of addressing this problem. And crimes which led to the arrests in the first place could have been prevented had we taken a different approach. This is not a problem the City of Lawrence can address on our own. We have to work together to address the root causes which lead to the sad circumstances of so many. There must be a better way. There is a better way. And I'm determined that the City of Lawrence will do its part to come to the table and help others come to the table to develop a plan. Until that collaboration and planning is implemented, how can we help? How can we help? What do we do now? Tonight, I'm pleased to announce that we're working together with various congregations, including First Methodist Church, who operate food pantries to make sure that needy individuals and families are fed. We're working on ways to engage our community in this effort and calling upon the generous heart of this city to give to the least of these. I'd like to thank Pastor Gary Stallworth of First Methodist Church and all his colleagues in ministry for their work that they're doing in our community and for the relationships we are working together to build. Please join me in showing gratitude. Thank you. Please be on the lookout for the details of this food drive initiative in the coming weeks. But tonight I make the heartfelt plea to our citizens who love their neighbors, care for the needy, clothe the naked, comfort the sick. There is so much to do. There is so much to do. We need to make better use of the Little River. We need to incorporate this natural resource into the life of the city. We need to work with our schools and provide our school board with the information they need to make wise decisions about our facilities for the future. And yes, we must bring very important projects like grocery stores to completion. Thankfully, after years of work and our considerable progress this year, we've already put an effective team together. We've updated our facilities, and we've brought growth back to the City of Lawrence. But if we have renovated buildings and new homes, but have not love, if we have industrial development and good jobs, but have not love, if we have a thriving economy and well-equipped emergency services, but have not love, then our city will have fallen short of its true potential. Love for the homeless and hungry, love for the sick and the suffering, love for our seniors and our children, love for our neighbors regardless of their race or creed or political persuasion. Let us renew our commitment to be a city which is not only known for its historic architecture and economic prosperity, but for the kindness and patience and care that we show for one another. I have a rock-solid confidence that if we continue on the path toward growth, grateful for that blessing, and we seek to love one another just as we have been called to do, Lawrence will be the place we have been called to be. I thank you for being here tonight. I thank God for his blessings on this city, and I pray that the Lord will continue to bless our nation, our great state, and the city of Lawrence. Thank you.
Wow, what an incredible night. So much growth is going on here right now. And one thing that I just visualized in my mind is when you think about a locomotive, the hardest part is when it first starts out. It needs tons of energy to get started. But the great thing is, we're already started. We're going. But it's also easy, well, not super easy, but it is easy to stop a locomotive. So I want you to think about this. If not me, then who? If it's not me that's going to do something to help keep this growth going, who is going to do that? Make sure you are being a part of this growth. So many amazing things said tonight. So first off, I want to have a round of applause for the citizens of the city of Lawrence. But thank you all for your attendance this evening. As we get ready to wrap up this evening, if you will please stand and show your appreciation to the City Council as they depart. Following the recessional, you are invited to take part in reception generously sponsored by the Lawrence Commission of Public Works. At this time, if you'll stand, ladies and gentlemen, once again, the Mayor and City Council of the City of Lawrence.